Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone, and welcome to Wealth Pathways, the Affluence Science Insights Podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Marie Stella, coming to your ears from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's learn together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sabrina Oktavelia. In today's episode, we'll be looking at tour guiding as a passion to profit journey and how we can make our passion and love for traveling and storytelling into a profitable business. In today's episode, we will be asking and looking into what's needed and the advantages, the risks, and the considerations in starting a tour guide business and more. And in today's episode, we will be answering all of those and more with the guidance of Torry Jatiprakoso. He is the founder and owner of It's a Good Trip. It's a Good Trip is a travel operator based in Jakarta, where we will be brought into wonderful places and that can gives you wonderful story to share to your friends and family. So let's welcome TJ, everyone. Hello, TJ. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just a little bit nervous today.
Yeah, me too.
So, TJ, can you tell me about the common misconceptions about tour guide hustles and how do they impact your understanding of passion and business?
Okay, first, I think about the misconception, I see that there are two at least. The first one is the differences between tour guide and also tour leader, because they are two different things. So if we divide it into two sections between tour leader and tour guide, tour leader is more of a generalist and tour guide is the specialist. So basically the tour leader, he or she is responsible in arranging the trips to make sure that all of the guests are well attended and everything is based on the schedule, everything is on time and based on the itinerary, because itinerary is something that we commit to the guest. So we have to fulfill them, and that's the responsibility of the tour leader. Even though when we're on our way to the destinations that we go, perhaps the guest will ask, what kind of monument is this? What kind of museum is this? He or she should be able to answer those questions, but not in detail. That's all right. But tour guide is someone that will guide you through all of the places in the main destinations. For example, you go to Bali and you want to go to Ubud. So the tour leader will explain you something general about Bali. But then in Ubud, you want to go to the monkey forest, for example. So tour guide is someone who will guide you in the monkey forest to explain you about all of the monkeys, all of the statues right there, the meaning of the garden, the forest itself. So it is more specific. So that's the first misconception, because there are two different things. And then the second one is that tour guide, people will think that the most important thing is for you to understand the place and to tell the exact perfect story. But actually it's so much more than that, because as a tour guide or tour leader, you have to be able to engage with the guests, because sometimes in a group of tourists there are some people who are very extroverted and they talk a lot, and then there's someone who will just stay in the corner. And that's one of the things that you have to do as a tour leader or tour guide. You have to engage everyone and you have to make all of the people there feel included and then taken care of.
I see.
So that's it. It's not about explaining things, but also you have to have a engaging personality, and then you have to be very agile in every different things, because sometimes bad things happen and then you have to make quick decisions, and so that's what you have to do.
I see. So that's actually a lot of different skills needed as a tour guide.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not that
yeah.
simple.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to be, you have to have good problem decision making and problem solving capabilities
Exactly.
in like on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, before we dive further into the
Mm.
topic, we have this segment called Have You Met Tori?
Okay.
Okay, TJ. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so TJ, first and foremost, what do you do in your spare time?
Well, I own a travel agency. It means that I travel a lot. So when I go back to Jakarta, I am a pro at couching potatoes. So I love to sleep. So I need to recharge my body, etc. And then because I am also let's say a part-time content creator as well. So I create contents related to the
Ah,
traveling itself. And
I
then about languages,
see.
like I am a Javanese. So I talk about
Oh,
Japanese a lot, and also
the
languages like
language.
English or French.
Oh,
Yep.
so you also speak French.
Yeah.
So you're trilingual. That's really amazing.
Well, if you count Japanese.
Yeah, let's count that as well. Okay, so next question.
Mhm.
What is your favorite book?
I am a big fan of Mitch Albom, if you ever heard. So Mitch Albom is an author who creates a fictional novel.
Mhm.
And then one of my favorite book is called the Five People You Meet in Heaven. That's
Mm.
amazing. You should read it.
5 people you met in heaven. That sounds like a heavy book. Okay. And next question would be, what film do you enjoy recently?
Movie. Perhaps it's not a movie. It's a series.
Oh, it's a series.
I have always loved Friends, if you know it.
Ah, yes,
Do you
yes,
watch
yes.
Friends?
I do watch Friends just a little bit, not
Yeah.
until the end though.
All right. It's cool.
Okay, since we are making a podcast, is there any podcast that you listen to?
This one is a local Indonesian podcast, and perhaps you know it. It's called Pot Hub. Every
Mm,
Saturday. So
every
yeah,
Saturday.
I watch it
Very
every
regular.
morning on Saturdays. Yeah.
That's a very regular schedule
Yeah,
schedule for you to watch
it
it.
is.
Yeah, and last one would be, who do you look up to the most?
There's a singer. Her name is Anggun. She's an
Mm,
Indonesian singer who's already go internationally, and then she speaks many languages.
indeed.
One of the language that she learned is French. Yeah,
Yeah.
she speaks French very fluently, so that's why I learned French. And then, but the most amazing thing about her is that she's a very creative artist, and then when she speaks a specific language, she doesn't mix it up one another. Even she speaks different languages, so
Oh,
she doesn't mix. Like Indonesians, Indonesians, they love to mix bahasa Indonesia and English, but
I
she doesn't do
see.
that. So
That's
it's
very
full English,
interesting.
full bahasa Indonesia, or full French.
I see like a full understanding of the literature and how to utilize that language fully without mixing it with
Yes.
other language.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. And
Most
now
welcome.
we can get into the topic of tour guide hustle from passion to profit. So, first question for starters, how would you define affluence?
Okay. So when we talk about affluence, most of the time, perhaps we will. It's always talk about money and wealth,
Mhm.
but for me, it is something extended from that. It is
Mm.
about prosperity, and prosperity, in my own definition, is not only being wealthy or having lots of money, but it is also having the privilege to enjoy what you have and to have the luxury of time to enjoy what you have, the wealth that you have, the money that you
Yeah.
have. Because sometimes, perhaps you have ever heard about when you're a kid, you have the energy, you have the time, but you don't have the money. When you're
Yeah.
grown up, you have the energy, you have the money, but you don't have the time.
Mhm.
When you're old, you have the time, you have the money, but you don't have the energy. So
Indeed.
prosperity is about having the privilege of having three of them at once.
3 of them at the same time.
Yep.
Energy, time, and money to do whatever we
Yes,
want in
exactly.
life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a wonderful definition. And next question would be, what would be your definition of a local tour guide? You mentioned a bit, but yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, the definition of local tour guide is that being a specialist, actually, being a specialist on the destinations that you go. So you will have to be able to answer every detailed questions
Mm.
of the guest. But I am working with tour guides, but for me myself, I would call myself as the tour leader instead. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I am a generalist.
You're a
Yeah,
generalist.
and I work with
Specialists?
specialist, local tour guide. Because, for example, one of the destinations that we have at It's a Good Trip is we go to remote places, and one of them, perhaps it's Tangkahan, as an example.
Oh, that's unique.
Yeah, and so what I do at It's a Good Trip is that I believe that the only person that understand that place is the local people. So no matter how many times I go there, I can go to Tangkahan for 100 times, but I won't be able to understand the place as good as the local. So for the tour guide, I leave it to them.
I see. So tour guiding, more of a specialist, tour leader, more of a generalist that can help you and
Yep.
guide you through the itinerary.
Yes.
Okay. So next question would be, how would you describe the relationship between your affluence and a local tour guide?
For me, if it's personally to me, it is a privilege because I love traveling, and then people know me that they know that I love traveling, and then when I start the business, they trust me already because I build the persona. So I always post when I travel to places to my social media, so they understand that I love to go to places, and then I just have that persona, and I think it's easier for me to build their trust to finally convert to be my client. And then when they become my client, I can take them to places, and of course they pay me. And when they're happy, they're going to spread the news to their friends.
Indeed.
And they will convert to be my clients, and it's like a snowball.
Yeah,
So
the snowball effect.
Yeah, more clients means more money. Yeah, and
more places to go.
Yes, more places to go, and it makes me happy.
Indeed. And next one, what are the key aspects of a local tour? What should we look out for in a
Okay.
local tour?
There are so many travel operators that they want to expose the place without thinking about the local potential itself. Perhaps what they think about is the destination, and that's it. But actually, when you go to a certain destination, there are lots of things that you can explore. It can be the delicacies or the traditions or anything else. You name it. It's a lot. So basically, when you go to certain places, you don't just exploit or make a big exposure on the destinations itself, the scenery, but you can also give the spotlights to the community right there. So from the community, you will learn the way they live, and then what they eat, and by understanding those aspects, you can create an experience that you can infuse to your trip. So perhaps you can take your guests to try their local food or live the way the locals live. Where do they go during their spare time? Because we're going to a village, and then sometimes it's impossible to find a signal.
Indeed, because you're going to remote places.
Yeah. And then you let those people and lead them to feel the ambience and how they live in that specific place.
Getting into the culture, like deep to the deep end.
Yeah.
And my next question would be for local tour guide hustles, right? And people who are aspiring to be local tour guides, what are the crucial startup costs and the time investments needed for a local tour guide?
Okay. So perhaps before going further, I would like to make a disclaimer before. Because what I talk about is based on my personal experience. And It's a Good Trip is still a very small business, I would say. Because there are two kinds of businesses. The first one is that you got fundings from external investors. So you get investments, or you do something that is called bootstrapping. So for you who are watching, if you don't know about bootstrapping is a process where the owner of the business, they use their own money to start the business, and then from the profit that he gets or she gets, then you use the money to create another trip and etc.
I see.
Another business. So that's what I do. So basically, for me, talking about the capital, of course, I use my own experience, because when you are doing bootstrapping, the main capital is not only money, but
Mm.
it can be your connections. Because if you start a business and you're doing bootstrapping, perhaps the first people who are going to buy your product or your service is the people around you.
Indeed.
It can be your mom, it can be your best friends, it can be your follower, and etc. So that is also a capital, right?
Mm.
So perhaps I'm going to talk
Mhm.
deeper about the bootstrapping itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it, I guess, for the disclaimer.
I see. So, in regards of bootstrapping, and how did you manage to bootstrap your business and make it into a profitable a hustle?
Okay. So actually, It's a Good Trip is not my first business.
Ah.
So this is my third one. The first one and the second one, they fail. It happens all the time to people who wants to start a business. But then I understand that actually I start those my first two businesses as something that I don't really know. The first one, I sell clothes. I don't really understand about the materials and etc. The second one, I sold orchid.
Orchid, like the flower?
Yeah, the flower. I just like the flower. It's beautiful, and I think lots of people will like it. But I don't really know about the flower.
Mm.
But then I start thinking, and I look at my social media about what I post,
Mm.
and then I see that okay, I think when people see my account, they will think that I am someone who loves to travel.
Yeah.
And I really love to travel. Then why don't I start from that? So I start thinking about opening destinations of the destinations that I have visited before. So I don't have to really spend more money to go there, because when I go there, I already I made connections. So I have friends in the destinations. So that's my capital. So I don't really spend much on that. So capital is not always money. You can use
Yeah.
your connections. You can use your social media. So I think the first thing that I do is that to build the persona, and the persona will build trust to my clients to be. And
Indeed.
when the client converts, it converts into money. And then it's going to be profitable for you.
Yeah. And you did mention about your struggles before building this business, but what about your major struggles in building your local tour guide hustle?
Well, I think one of the fundamental thing is to find the right partner. Because sometimes when you want to start a business, I understand that sometimes we will think too much on the business. Sometimes, am I going to make it?
Yeah.
Etc. Etc. And then sometimes, okay, you have to look at yourself. And in my case, I need someone who will support me and because sometimes you have a decision in your head, but sometimes
Yeah,
you just need
indeed.
a person who says that, Sabrina, you're doing the right thing. Go
Yeah.
ahead. You need that kind of person, right? So
you need a push,
yeah.
motivation.
Yeah, we need a push. And to find a person that match your energy, it's very hard. So that's the first struggle. And then the next thing is that to find the clients for the first time, because you don't have any portfolio. All you need to have is someone or some people who would like to give you a chance to prove it to them. People who would like to give you a chance to take them to certain places. That's a struggle. So I think for myself, that's two fundamental things. And the next one is that when you start gathering a team, it's going to be very hard to find the right people that you want to recruit and to have the same spirit and the same commitment to build the trips or the business, anything that you want to do in a certain level of quality that you would like to have.
I see.
Because that's the point of view of an owner, I think.
And when you were running this business, you go through struggles, as you mentioned, like finding partners, finding clients. What's an unexpected challenge that you have encountered throughout your business so far?
Yeah, perhaps this is going to be based on a real experience back
Indeed.
in May 2024. So I opened the first trip to Banda Neira. It's in the eastern part of Indonesia.
Yeah.
It's
Maluku, right?
Yes, it's in Maluku, and it's very far, and it's really hard to get there. So we aim to get 15 people to join our trip. But at the end of the day, we only got 5. Because not many people going to trust us as a new travel agency and to take them to a faraway place, expensive amount of money, big amount of money. And
Costly,
then,
yeah.
yeah, it's costly. But then when we got there, there was a hurricane. There was a hurricane, and all of the ships to go to Bandanera are canceled, and the guests are already there. So
Oh,
we have to think about what do we do about this? What are we going to
okay.
offer to the guests? Are we going to refund their money, but they're already in Ambon? Or we go to Bandanera using the ferry, which will take around 15 hours instead of 4 hours, because the fast boat that we're going to take on will only spend 4 hours sailing. So if we go with 15 hours to 24 hours sailing, it means that we only have one night in Bandanera and then we have to go back to Ambon.
Oh,
So we really have to think
about their
quickly to
experience,
find
right?
the
Yeah.
solutions.
So, how did you overcome that?
Well, I think one of the problems that when we sell something, a product or a service, is that complaints.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the source of complaint is that there is a disparity between the expectations and the results. So we have to manage the expectation of the guests. So at It's a Good Trip, what we always do is that before people make their first down payment to join us on a trip,
Yes.
we will tell them A to Z about the risks to go to that place. For example, to Bandanera, before they pay, we already tell them that Bandanera is very far and it's very hard to reach there. Once there's a hurricane or the weather is just not on our side, we will have to cancel. And we have to divert to a different place. Are you okay with that? If you take the risk, you can pay and then we go. And then, but we also tell them, if that happens, what are the things that we are going to offer you? So they know what are the risks, what they are signing up to, right? And
Yeah.
then what are the options that they have if that bad thing happens.
Okay.
So
I
we have
see.
to manage the expectations. And gladly, Maluku is full of beautiful places.
Yeah.
And to the south, you can go to Bandanera. To the north, you can go to Seram Island. And then there's a very beautiful place called Negeri Saleman, or people usually know about Ora Beach. It's very
Ah,
pretty. So we
I've heard of
divert
that one.
Yeah, so we divert our trip from Bandanera to Ora.
Oh, the first travel with the 5 clients.
Yeah, that's our first trip to the east of Indonesia, and it failed. But you know what? All of the guests were very happy, and they keep recommending It's a Good Trip to their friends because Negeri Saleman is very beautiful. It's very, very
Wow.
beautiful. So even one of the hardest guests that I have got was on that trip. So when we got there, he said, "Hey TJ, thank you so much for bringing us here. This place is very pretty."
So, TJ, what's good about that place? Can you explain to us a little bit about was it Ora Beach or
Ora Beach. You will feel like you're going to a different world. You know, can you imagine very high cliffs at the bank of a ocean, so meets together, and then there's a great scenery of sunsets and sunrise. And the waters are pristine water. It's very clear but very calm, so you can actually dive in or do snorkeling every time without having to worry about the current or the waves. It's very relaxing.
I see.
It's
a
amazing.
very like a straight out of a movie
Yes,
situation.
exactly. You can check on our Instagram account. You can take a
Will
pic
do.
there. Yeah.
Will do. And in regards of your business, what is a unique selling point that you sell to your clients?
Okay. So It's a Good Trip is very specific. We go to remote places, to places that not very common of people going.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first one. We go to exotic places. The second one is that we're always doing, and we are focused on sustainability. We will always encourage our guests not to use single-use plastic. So that's one of the smallest thing that we do. And then The third one is that we try to make everything very personalized. So every time we finish the trip, we will give them a small token of appreciation to them.
Oh.
Yeah. So we have someone called the Orange Passport. So it's like a passport that we give them. So when you open a passport, you will have your data, right?
Yeah.
So we have your photo on that.
Oh.
And the next one is that the page for a visa. Visa is like a sticker basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So in that sticker, it is written all about the informations about the place that
The
you
place,
go.
yeah.
And the third one, there's a candid moment when you join the trip. For example, when we go to Tangkahan, you will take a bath with elephants. So yeah, really, yeah, you have to bath them as well.
Oh.
Yeah. And then when you bath them, we take a candid picture, and then we print it in a small
The orange
Polaroid, and then
Oh.
we stick it to the Orange Passport. So that's it. And also, we also sell the experience. Just like what I said before, it's not about the destinations, but we also want them to experience something. In Tangkahan, we will let our guests to cook lemang. It is like lontong.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
But it's
rice.
different. Yeah, it's rice and
That's
sticky
wrapped,
rice,
yeah.
and then wrapped in a
Banana leaf?
leaves, and then you put it into a bamboo,
Mm.
and that's the experience that you're going to experience. You
I see.
create a food. You cook a food that the locals eat. In Ora, we will go to a place where they process sagu into sagu flour,
Oh.
and after that we will eat papeda.
Oh.
Because lots of people, they know papeda, but they don't know how to make it. So we go to the forest, and then we look for the sagu tree, and then we process everything, and then you can eat the papeda.
I see. So,
So
very
it's a whole
personalized. Mhm.
a whole experience that they can try.
I see. It's a very how could I say this? Like a very personalized experience
Yeah.
per place, like per exotic places, and it's curated
Yeah.
to those places only.
It is curated, and we always try to engage with the local community. So, of course, the guest needs to eat, right?
Yeah,
So
indeed. Of course.
we don't order it from a restaurant. So we hire the wife of the farmers there
Oh.
to cook traditional food from their place.
That's
so
very
our
unique,
guests
indeed.
get to try the food. Yeah. So even the wife of the farmers, they can get more income from tourism. So that's what we do.
I see. So you're expanding the economic to the locals as well, not just bringing others into and just looking around, but you are involving the communities.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair when you go to a place and then you exploit things from their place without creating an impact to the community. I don't think that's fair. So we have to embrace the community and we work with them. So for the males, perhaps they can be our tour guide. And the wives, they can cook for us.
Wow.
So they can go to their rice fields, and then they go to the forest to collect the plants for their food, but they can also get more income by serving the guests.
I see.
So that's what we do.
And from what I see, from the way you tell the stories and your posts in Instagram, upselling and copywriting is a very crucial aspect.
Yes.
In your business. So how accurate do you think this is?
Well, I think more people are going to be convinced to buy your products or your service if they look at the visuals. They need to see proof. They need to see the visuals. So I think creating a strong brand guidelines to be it's a unique how do you call it? To create a unique branding for yourself. When they see a poster or a single icon, they will think about, oh, it's a good trip.
I see.
So a strong branding is very crucial.
I see. So strong branding, so people understand like at a glance, okay, it's a good trip.
Yeah.
That's one, it's a good trip.
Yeah.
And how do you implement this? How do you start understanding the branding and copywriting style for your brand, and how did you implement that?
Well, I think as simple as a logo, it has to represent your brand. How do you want your brand to be perceived? So you need to be clear on that first.
I see. So the logo and what about the writings and the story that you are telling to your audience?
Okay, so actually about the story that we want to serve to the audience, it is a long story because you need to make a research on the place that you go, and then
Okay, research.
you have to meet the people there and ask them about what are the unique things of your place, because we want to try to expose it to more people,
I see.
because their culture is something that is very interesting to be looked at and to be experienced. So we started from making a research, and then we create a discussion with the local people about what are the things that they can show to us, and how we are going to curate it, whether or not it is that we can be able to sell it to the clients. So it's a long process, but I think a discussion with the local people to understand whether or not that is applicable is very important.
As a tour guide, right, building and managing relationships is important in the business. How did you manage to do that, and how did you flourish in maintaining these relationships?
Okay, I think maintaining relationships is more about the post-trip activities, right? So after before the trip ends, just like what I told you, we give them some souvenirs, like because we talk about sustainability, we don't encourage them to use single use plastic. Then we provide them the tumbler with us. There's a coffee brand. When you go to a certain city, they have a tumbler with the branding of every city, right? That's what we do at It's a Good Trip as well. And then the orange passport. And after that, we ask for their testimonials after they go home. And then after that, we create a group. So after they go on a trip, they will be a community of our alumni.
Oh.
Yeah. So we have that community. So they will be gathered in a single group. So every time someone is celebrating their birthday, as simple as saying happy birthday to them, it's something simple, but it touches their heart.
Yeah.
And then every time we have a new destinations or we have new schedules, and then we can post it right there. And also, if you are an alumni, you will get special price for the next trip. So that's what we do. So you maintain the relationship by saying happy birthday, just simple words, just like that. But also, you can leverage it into something more by giving them, to stimulate them to go on the next
Another
trip.
one.
Yeah, by giving them
Okay.
discounts.
So not only that you manage relationships with your past clients, but you're also creating a community of travelers
Yeah.
that have gone with you. And what about managing and building relationships with the local partners that you meet on your exotic places? How did you manage that?
Well, the way we manage is that, of course, we give good compensations for them, and then as simple as saying hi and every once in a while, because we need their help, and then we have to give them their rights on what they have done. So when you promise them a compensation, then you have to finish it before even you leave the venue. So as simple as that. Just fulfill what you promised to them.
I see, fulfilling your end.
Yeah.
And your business is creative based, right? And showing people what the place is like, showing how the experience is like. And how do you balance the creative aspects and the business operation end on your day to day?
Well, being creative can be wild and wide, But I think about the creativity, if we're talking about visuals, for example, back again, I've told you about the brand guidelines. So you can be very creative, but don't go too far from the brand guidelines, because the brand guidelines is your identity. What we post is the face of our brand. So for example, at It's a Good Trip, because I am a content creator, I love to create videos. That's why our social media is full of reels.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, it's full of reels. But our reels are not talking about how much is the trip. we give the viewers the unique informations they need to know about the places that we go to. So, okay, they are not just feeling like, okay, it's a good trip, it's telling me something, but it's a good trip also give me new informations, new knowledge. And every time we give them a new informations, we have a hashtag. It's good to know.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So it's a
Oh,
good
that's-
trip, and then we have good destinations, and then people who travel with us, they are good people, and then people who are working with it's a good trip called a good crew.
Oh,
and
that's
then
so
if we
cute.
share new
Yeah.
informations, it's good to know. It's something like that.
Okay, so it's very interconnected, and you have thought
Yeah.
about the interconnectedness of all aspects.
Yeah. So that's how you use the brand guidelines. So you have
Mm,
something that is, it rhymes to one another.
I see. So connection with one another. And my next question is, what role does customer feedback do to your business and how it built so far?
Well, I think for a business to flourish, I
Mhm.
think we have to be able to take all feedbacks, whether or not it's good, right? So I think one of the things that I experience is that no matter how good you prepare your trip, something bad will just happen during the trip. I talk to different
Yeah.
my friends who are also owners of open trips, and they say the same thing. No matter how good we are, how long we have prepared for that, bad things happen. It always happen. So we have to prepare for the worst, and yeah, uh, we have to be prepared
I
with all of that.
see. And from those customer feedback, how did it refine your future tours and improve your profitability?
Yeah. Just what I've said. Like every trip is not 100% perfect,
Mm,
and some people will always have their opinions,
yeah.
but we have to take it lightly. So we take notes on that because I know that from those feedbacks, it will just perfecting our trips and our services. So every trips when it ends, so we sent out a Google form for them to fill to rate us and to tell us the opinions that they think will improve our trips, what they like, what they don't like, so we can improve it from there, and then we will implement it in the next trip. We always make sure that all of those negative feedbacks to be converted into positive things by listening to them and then applying the negative feedbacks into actions if it's applicable.
If it's applicable.
If it's applicable, because there will be feedbacks, and if you think that it is a low hanging fruit, just do it.
Mm. And next question would be, what are the biggest mistakes local tour guides make in their business from what you have seen so far?
People think that being a tour guide is very easy. Just engage with the guest, and then you know
Yeah.
the place, and that's it, and smile, etc. But it is so much more than that, because sometimes when bad things happen, it will just destroy your mood actually. But it is very impossible to show your negative mood to the guest,
Indeed,
to the
indeed.
clients, right? So you have to keep smiling, pretending that everything is okay. And then even sometimes you're very tired, but you have to hide it. So it's not just about telling stories. It is about engaging with the guests and then managing your mood, being agile in problem solving. So it is not just telling stories, really.
I see. And also being quick feet with a lot of decisions and problems that happen on the day.
Yeah, because when, for example, in Tangkahan, we have
Yeah.
to go to the forest, and then we are going to the river for river trekking. And then, for example, it rains really hard, and then the river is impossible to be passed by the guests. So what are you going to do? You have to create a quick decision that time, right away.
And for people who want to polish these qualities, what advice would you give them to overcome these drawbacks?
I think practice and practice. I think it's all about you know, the more you travel, the more you handle guests, you will handle different kind of people. You will face different kind of weather. And then I think it will just, you will just get better if you stick to the job, and then you got more problems, and then it will just make you a better person.
Okay. And for those aspiring tour guides out there or people who want to make their travel operators, what unique skills or personality traits that make someone well suited for this business?
I think being again and again engaging personality and a swift problem solver.
I see.
Those two things. Yeah, because when people think that, okay, tour leader or tour guide, they have to be an extrovert person, I don't think so. Because it is so much more than that. If you're extroverted but you're not a problem solver, it's going to be very hard for you.
I see.
And then if you're not an engaging person, you cannot engage with first person, it will make your job very, very hard.
Difficult, yeah.
Yeah. Because not every person is the same. They have different personality traits, and you have to create different ways to engage with those people.
I see. And how does the skills that you have and you need for the local tour guide business and travel operating differs to other entrepreneurial paths?
I wouldn't say it's very different, because as simple as
Mhm.
everything has its own blueprint. I wouldn't say that being a tour guide or tour leader is harder than being a corporate worker. It's not just like that. It's just being its own way, I think.
I see. And with that in mind, right, what types of people would benefit the most in entering this industry?
People who love to travel, just like me, and people who love to talk a lot, I guess. Because if you are a storyteller, I think it's gonna benefit you a lot, because you love to talk, you love to tell your stories to people, and then you love to experience new things. So that kind of people who are adventurous but also a great storyteller will benefit the most from this kind of job. Yeah.
Adventurers, extroverts who loves to tell stories.
Yeah. Because we go to remote places. What can you expect? You can find signals, and even sometimes it's really hard to find your specific brand of noodle that you love to eat. Instant noodle that you love to eat. It's so hard sometimes.
And lastly, what's one advice that you would give to aspiring tour guides and travel operators for our listeners out there?
Okay, I think if you're doing bootstrapping again and again, I think the first thing is that you have to build your persona. You can use your social media, because now we're living with internet.
Indeed.
We always post everything on our social media, and I think post something that you want people to perceive about you. If you want to build a business in traveling, so perhaps post more photos or videos when you're traveling, so that your followers know, because they're going to be your customer, your first customers. The second one is that when you build your persona, you will create trust. And then you can convert them into your clients.
I see.
The most important thing is to build your persona, especially when you're using your own money to build your business. Start very small.
So persona as in your personal branding in your own account.
Exactly. Yeah.
And for practices that we can do, what practice would you recommend to support the local tour guide business or the partners that you have in the exotic places?
Well, practices again and again. I think social media will help you big time. And also, if you would like to try and practice more into practice, I think you should go to somewhere unique in your town. In my own experience, I was born and raised in Solo, and there's a palace called Mangkunegaran Palace, and I know that Mangkunegaran Palace, they frequently look for junior tour guide.
Oh.
Yeah, so I applied for there, and I applied for that position, and then I got accepted, and then I got the chance to see the guests and to learn about the history of the palace, and then I got to see people, and then got foreign and local guests, and then I'm able to experience different ways of engaging with people.
I
So
see.
put it to practice. Yeah.
I see. So you were a tour guide from a very young age, I guess.
Yeah. Since when I was in high school. Yeah.
I see. And now we can have the chance for you to talk about anything that you like in this next segment called Open Mic. So you can tell us and you can promote anything to the world, and the stage is yours.
Okay, so for all of you who would like to build your own business, so my message for you is that, especially if you're doing bootstrapping, so use your social media to elevate yourself and then to create your persona, to build trust of your followers, because they're going to be the first people who are going to be your clients. And if you would like to escape from your routine to go to remote places, you can check it'sagoodtrip.id on Instagram or on TikTok, and you can take a look of the destinations that we have. And yeah, if you want to go to remote places and experience something different and try how to be the people who live in that place, so come with us.
Okay, so what about one destination that you would promote to our listeners?
Well, we only have 4 destinations. The first one is Tangkahan and Bukit Lawang in North Sumatra. The second one is Labuan Bajo, where you can see the Komodo dragon. And then the third one is Ora Beach with the amazing scenery, and also Banda Neira, amazing scenery and a very strong history of Indonesia lays right there. But my personal favorite is Tangkahan and Bukit Lawang because I love elephants personally.
Oh,
So I
me
can
too.
take a shower with the elephants. You can bath them because it's part of a health check for them. And then in Bukit Lawang, you can see the Sumatran orangutan.
I see. And if our listeners want to see you and find out more about you, where can they go?
You can go to my social media account. It's at TJ underscore TORRY, or simply go to at it'sagoodtrip.id.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, TJ. It was
Thanks
a
to you
very
too.
insightful conversation in regards to the tour guiding and travel operating businesses and supporting the local business, especially here in Indonesia.
Yep.
And for everyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Wealth Pathways, the Affluence Science Insights Podcast, produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes are available from 10 life management perspectives and can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcasting apps available on your devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, share, and subscribe to our channel so that other people can find it and we can continue to provide quality content. More of our work can be found on our website at affluence.lifemanagementsciencelabs.com, where you can join our movement. I'm Marie Stella. Thanks for tuning in.